Hi. Um, I'm doing another one of these. I have. Let me speak up here. Um, there's a lot that's happened. Today is I think the 22nd of March, 2026, and I haven't made one of these since Turkey Day of last year. So I just wanted to let you know that I wound up getting kicked out of the hotel I was staying at. Mainly, they said mainly because of all the cats I was feeding. I had like 15. I had like the entire population of stray cats that I had sort of domesticated, and it was quite an experience. I enjoyed that experience very much. Enjoyed the presence of the cats and getting to know them and their personalities. And I'm not wearing any pants. And yeah, so that was what they said was the reason I got kicked out, but there's a bit more to it. I had actually befriended a fellow that was two doors down, a guy named Jay. And Jay was going through a bit of a rough spot. He had been diagnosed with diabetes, and they're chopping off his legs. So he was going through a rough patch in his life. Yeah, from the first moment that I met him, there was some simpatico because I'm also going through a bit of a rough patch, even though I still have my legs. So I was always asking for money. And he was kind of nice to me, but I noticed there's a woman that lived between us, and he would straight up like yell at her because he was collecting money for his weekly what do you call it, the weekly rate at the hotel, and which was only like $275 a week. Criminally overpriced for the environment, for the hotel was kind of like a crystal palace, not in a good way. So he was kind of like pushing on me, leaning on me, but pushing on this old woman who he called grandma. And I'd listen to him. He'd be in his wheelchair. He'd roll down to the door between us and bang, 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 pound on the door, be like, yo, grandma, come to the door. And he'd be like getting money from her. And she's, this little old meth head lady who's in her room with the dog. And none of us are supposed to have any animals in that hotel. So she's probably not trying to rock the boat in any particular kind of way because she's got this nice pit bull who I never had any problems with. Pit bull would just stay by the window and look out. I'd see the pit bull every now and again. I'd wave while I'm feeding all the cats. And it got to a point where Jay was just asking for money all the time. And I remember feeling for him and giving him a bit of money to help him get through. But I'm barely making it myself. I'm barely holding on. And the new year came around, and it was a new me. New year came around, and I'm dealing now with more financial pressure from the insurance that I'm now going to have to pay premiums every month, in addition to all the other things that I pay on a monthly basis. And now I have this guy who's reaching his hand into my pocket. I didn't like that. But I told him, I said, I can't help you anymore. I bought him a pack of smokes and a 40 of Old English, and I gave that to him, and he like glowered at me like he was going like, "What, you gonna kick my ass? You gonna have to get up first." I kind of just hopped away. But the thing is this: he was friends with the maintenance man, and the maintenance man was always watching me and knew that I fed the cats and had no problem with that for like months. But the moment that I stopped letting his friend lean on me, a maintenance man comes around with the property manager to replace the fire alarm in the room of this fucking methamphetamine infested hotel. Like, all of a sudden, you guys give a fuck. So yeah, that was very suspicious of them. And the manner in which they approached was really suspicious too. They rolled up on me in their SUV while I was coming out of the room for whatever reason, probably to go to the store. They rolled up on me real fast. Like, they were about to, like, they were gonna like kidnap me or some shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And they hop out of the car while it's still rolling, and they're like, we need to check your, hold on, we need to come in there and check your fire alarm and stuff. And I was like, what for? And they're like, new ordinance from the city this year or some shit, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, your fire alarm is disabled. You can be fined $45,000 for that. And I was like, that shit was broken when I got in this room. Like, the TV, like the mini fridge, like basically everything in this room was broken when I got here. And they're looking around, seeing like the room was in slight disarray because I hadn't cleaned yet. I clean every weekend, but I hadn't cleaned before they got in. So they got to see it in kind of a mess. This is what I'm looking like right now, which is better than what it was. You know, like, you know, it's a better accommodations. So they saw the room the way it was, and they decided that Monday I had to leave. They didn't even give me like a pre-warning. Like, I came back from work. I was about to pay my my rent or whatever, and they're like, the lady that works behind the desk was like, oh, property manager said you just have to go and you can never come back. I was like, really? I can't just get a different room? They're like, no, you have to leave the property. So I had to figure all that shit out. I wound up getting a slightly more expensive hotel room because I was staying at a motel. This is a hotel, and it's turned out to be pretty good. I mean, I paid $20 more to stay here, but the amenities are comparatively fantastic. Like, the TV works, the fridge works, the air conditioning unit works. I got housekeeping comes by once a week. There's a restaurant upstairs. You know, the food's pretty fucking good. I had the breakfast that they serve. They serve free coffee all the time, but the breakfast is a little expensive, but it's fucking good. I mean, it's a cool experience because the restaurant's practically empty. It's like you walking into The Shining all of a sudden. Like, there's this old dude over there in the corner, and he's like, like the only one in there. But I mean, like, he can make a bomb ass breakfast, and I mean, every place has its problems. This place has roaches, which I consider at this point to be complimentary, but the problems here pale in comparison to where I was just at. So it was a bit of a hustle, a bit of an inconvenience, but I wound up in a slightly better place, all said and done altogether. I dropped my insurance because that shit was too expensive for me, so now I'm back to being uninsured. And my credit card got frozen because they say that there is suspicious activity on my account, even though that's not true at all. And the way that my card is set up, my card was drawing from my bank account, which is run by a third person or a third party. It's through Fifth Third's Bank, but it's on a Wisely app. The Wisely app is the card that was given to me by my employers. It's just too much of an inconvenience right now for me to open up a different checking account, savings account. I just got this Wisely app, and then the Fifth Third's Bank is who kind of regulates that. But the Fifth Third's Bank doesn't have my information on file properly. They must have some kind of a clerical error when it comes to my numbers, because when I try to authenticate myself with them, their their system tells me that I'm not giving them the correct information, and in order for me to correct that, I would have to go visit a physical branch, which I did, and the people at the physical branch told me that I have to go and talk to the people on the phone because the physical location, the actual Fifth Third's Bank, doesn't directly deal with people who don't have an actual bank account with them. They don't fuck with us wisely folks, us little wisely peasants. And I was like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? So I just canceled my account. I have a zero balance anyway. I pay everything off like immediately. APR is no problem to me because I know that I'm just going to pay that shit off immediately. And I think that's the reason why they stopped me dead in the water. They saw me building credit. They know I'm a felon. And so they're throwing a fucking monkey wrench into my gears. I'm doing all right as far as my supervision is concerned. I informed my probation officer immediately that I had changed locations, that I had a new place of residence, but I haven't had a home visit yet. Staying sober, completely sober. I started drinking coffee again after a year. After a complete year of no coffee and no cigarettes. The other day I had a black and mild just to see, and to be honest with you, it didn't really hit. I mean, I walk past people that smoke all the time, and I like the smell. And I like I hate, it is what it is, but I like the feeling of walking through a cloud of secondhand smoke. I like that kind of cloudy feeling. But to be smoking myself didn't quite hit the way I thought it would. It didn't hit at all. It was very unsatisfying. So I was like, maybe I can put this down now. But I went to Starbucks that day, the same day, and oh my gosh, I got myself a double shot espresso with a like a regular cup of coffee, and I was like, oh fuck yeah. I was like, the coffee is in, the tobacco is out, the coffee is fucking in. And I mean, other than that, I'm off of everything, except for caffeine. And right now I just took my nootropics, to make me go faster. So aside from that, I don't even take sleeping pills. I was taking some kind of sleep aid, over-the-counter sleep aid, but I dumped all those, I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, not even smoking pot. I had my last video, I think, for Thanksgiving, I was smoking a Delta 8 cigar, whatever. But, I mean, like, I feel like I'll probably eventually come back around to smoking weed after my probation is over. I don't mind smoking weed, but tobacco really doesn't hit for me. Alcohol, everybody likes alcohol. I like alcohol, but the truth of the matter is, it doesn't really satisfy either. I kind of get more of a rise out of, it's going to sound weird, I get more of a rise out of being tempted than I do out of actually having the thing that's tempting me. In most cases. I found that coffee is pretty good though. I mean, I like coffee. It's a part of my waking ritual, my morning ritual. And that's pretty much all I got going on. Still working, dealing with daily grind, trying to stay ahead of the chore monster. Today I got to do laundry, got to clean up a little bit. Got all these sandwich bags still, same sandwich bags that I've had for like over a year now. I'm just reusing them. And, I got to do some meal prep today. That's going to be the bulk of my day, do some hygiene, mail upkeep or whatever you want to call it. And hopefully I'll be able to get into like some ledgering, some reading, maybe some drawing before I pass out and start the work week. We had a 3-day weekend this weekend, and that threw me off. Because I'm used to crunching for Saturday and Sunday. I'm used to crunching all my shit together on the weekend. So, I mean, like, my days off is usually full of more work than my work day. But, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, that's all I got for today. So, keep your social distance.